There's nothing wrong with us when we feel these feelings. Absolutely nothing wrong with you. And I hope, if nothing else, my podcast and this podcast and these episodes and these interviews and the solo episodes with myself make you feel less alone when you do feel lost or fearful or anxious or just overwhelmed by being a human in this day and age. Know that I am right here with you, and the people that I've had on here are right here with you. It's not easy being human sometimes. There's so much going on internally, externally. We're all just trying to figure it out, like I said, and it can be very overwhelming. And it's easy to feel like a lost soul in certain seasons of your life. And just know there's nothing wrong with you. Welcome to Alignment Adventures. This is a podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling, aligning, and present life. I'm your host, Linda Tanner, and I am so grateful that you are here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Alignment Adventures. I hope you all are doing so well. In this episode feels like a continuation of 2 episodes I released in October. One was the things I am afraid to tell you, and the second one was mourning your past self. But today I want to talk about what it feels like and how we can handle when we feel like we are lost souls, because that is me right now. Not all the time, but a majority of the time in this season, I do just kind of feel like a lost soul sometimes. And what I mean by that is I just am questioning so many things. Not this podcast necessarily, because I absolutely love what I do on the podcast. The podcast actually turns 3 this week, which is crazy. Kind of ironic how I'm saying that and also talking about questioning things. But my humanness just questions my path. And am I on the right path? Am I doing what my purpose is for my soul? Like, am I doing what I set here to do when I decided to come to this planet? Because that is something I believe, that we all chose to be here in this time and space. And even as I say that, I know my truth. That's the crazy part about being human. And this is from my personal experience. I hope you guys don't mind the radical vulnerability and honesty here. I mean, I always try to embody that, but it really feels like it with this episode. Is I know my truth. I have my connection to my internal guidance. I have my connection to my intuition, which is the same thing as internal guidance. Tomato, tomato, that is just what I choose to call it sometimes. I have my connection to my inner truth, yet sometimes it's so hard for me to remember it, and I get easily caught up in my mind stories. And I know a lot of it has to do with just the season of life, as you all may or may not know. If you've been listening, you very well know. We have been just ungrounded since about June, right? Where we moved from Arizona, we quit our jobs to come home to fix up our RV. We fixed up the RV, did RV life, didn't work out. Now we've been here in the Midwest just trying to figure out what is next. And I'm so, so grateful to say that tomorrow, as I'm recording this, so it will already have happened as this episode is released, but tomorrow we are closing on our new house, and I'm so incredibly grateful that I even get to say that I have that opportunity. And I think that is going to open up the next chapter. And with that, in this current season, in this Scorpio season, man, I'm feeling the intense Scorpio energies and vibes. I just recorded a video on my YouTube channel of what I learned from researching the zodiac signs. I researched each season this past year and created a yoga flow, so I got to really know the themes of each season and how they build upon each other. And it's so cool to see when you kind of zoom out and have a bird's eye view of the zodiac. Such a cool energy to leverage in each season. But with Scorpio season, a lot of times during this time in the zodiac, things can come up to be seen. Our shadow sides are things that need to be seen to be released. And that has totally been the case for me. I have been feeling so much judgment coming up, judgment of myself, judgment that I'm perceiving from others. That may necessarily not be the truth, but it's my perception, right? And me judging other people as well. It's like judgment from all angles. It's just such a heavy vibration for me right now. And I feel like that's there to be released, right? It's there to be aware of and be felt and be released. And with that too, I think a big part of kind of the feelings I'm going through are to help me step into my next iteration of myself, my next version of my authenticity. I mentioned this in the episode of the things I'm scared to tell you, but sometimes I feel like I sway too far in the direction of not sharing things because I don't want to come off preachy or pushy. But there's this delicate balance I've been trying to find, and I feel like I'm almost there, and I feel like that is what, like, this lost feeling has kind of helped me figure out, is finding that true authenticity and embodying it and sharing it in a way that feels aligned, that doesn't feel pushy. But I've had to set up boundaries, being back here. I realize things that do align with me and things that don't align with me. And the people pleaser in me tends to want to do things just to please others, even though I know it does not align with me. So that is such a beautiful lesson I have been going through. And going back to the feeling of just feeling lost, that is totally how I felt in this season. And if you ever look at me or listen to me and think, man, she's got it all figured out. Yes, I share wisdom from my internal guidance. I share wisdom from my journey. But guys, I do not feel like I have it all figured out. And I don't know if I will ever have it figured out. I don't know if anyone has it figured out. And I think that is the frustrating yet beautiful part of this life, is we keep trying to get it quote unquote figured out, and we just keep going and learning new things, and we keep going on that spiral and seeing things from new perspectives. And I just want you to know that it's okay to feel lost. Like, allow it, embrace it, let it in. Stop resisting that feeling of being lost or being overwhelmed or being fearful or having anxieties. Whatever it may be that just feels a low vibration. It's not a bad thing just because it feels low vibe. Allow it in. It has so much to teach us. And that's kind of the exhausting part of it sometimes, like when I share it with the people closest to me. Sometimes I feel like I have multiple personalities, because as I'm sharing something that I'm going through, I also see it from that higher perspective. So it's like I'm sharing my feelings, but then I also see the truth behind it. So it's like I'm going back and forth. It truly probably sounds like I'm a crazy person. I think we're all a little crazy on some level, but it's okay to be lost. It's okay to be lost. There's nothing wrong with you, like Lisa Schlossberg shared, and my wonderful guest last week, Dr. Katerina Ament, shared. There's nothing wrong with us when we feel these feelings. Absolutely nothing wrong with you. And I hope, if nothing else, my podcast and this podcast and these episodes and these interviews and the solo episodes with myself make you feel less alone when you do feel lost or fearful or anxious or just overwhelmed by being a human in this day and age. Know that I am right here with you, and the people that I've had on here are right here with you. It's not easy being human sometimes. There's so much going on internally, externally. We're all just trying to figure it out, like I said, and it can be very overwhelming. And it's easy to feel like a lost soul in certain seasons of your life, and just know there's nothing wrong with you. So that's where I'm at, just allowing myself to feel lost, allowing myself to let life flow through me, allowing myself to feel my feels, allowing myself to express it in ways that feel aligned and healthy to me, allowing myself to just be dynamic as I move through this beautiful journey of life. Like I've said in the previous episodes, I've had so many transitions, not to mention like a huge one I didn't even mention in that episode where I talk about mourning past versions of yourself, like motherhood. those of you that are mothers know, like, it takes a while to get used to it, and it's so beautiful. Arlo is at such a fun stage where he's so interactive. He is so lovey sometimes, and it's also very difficult still as I'm learning to be a mother and take care of him while also working on the things that feel aligning to me and just finding that balance, which balance is probably an illusion in some facets, because what is balance? We kind of view it as perfection, finding balance, right? But there is never like true perfect balance. We just do the best we can in each situation, which also reminds me of a book I'm currently reading, The Fifth Agreement. I think I need to do another episode with books that have really helped me on my journey. I've been re-listening to my podcast because that's what I do. I re-listen to the episodes because they help me so much. That's why I record them for you all and for myself. But I did an episode on like beginner alignment journey books. I think I'm going to do another episode on like next level, like deeper books, if you're wanting something deeper. But I would definitely add The Fifth Agreement to that. It is simple. It is profound. So good. And also, just so you know, I've been reading some fiction. I finally picked up A Court of Thorn and Roses. It's been so fun to just read some fun books. It reminds me of reading Twilight for the first time. So that's another reminder. Back to like OG Alignment Adventures episodes. Just do things that feel fun and you get inspired, and then you do the next fun thing and you do the next fun thing. What trips us up is we try to plan ahead. We get taken out of the present moment and we're like, well, where's this going to take me? Does this benefit me in the long run? Does this help me work towards my goals? Like, that is such the common way of thinking in our society because we're surrounded by it. And there's not anything necessarily wrong with that, but it's just, I'm outgrowing that mentality. I'm truly outgrowing that mentality of like working towards things and hustling. Like, it just doesn't align with me anymore. I'm done with it. I feel it in my soul, even as I'm talking to you guys. Me getting on here is like my own personal therapy session. Like, I'm just going to continue to flow through life, do the things that bring me joy, work through the things when they come up, feel my feelings, express them in the most aligned and healthiest way that I can, and continue along my path and not get caught up in where I should be or what I should be doing. Because one of my truths that I say every single morning, my intentions for my morning routine, which I'm feeling so called to do an updated morning routine video that may sound cringy, that may sound like something you're totally not interested in. I love them, and I'll probably do one when we move into our house. Because morning routines are so powerful. Like, giving yourself some time in the morning is so powerful. When I get my time in the morning, I feel like my day is drastically different, and I get to, feed my soul before I go into my momming duties and going into being the best mom I can for Arlo, which we just do the best we can. That is one of the 4 agreements. Back to one of my previous points. I hope you guys are still with me. I'm here, there, and everywhere sometimes. That's just how my brain works. But anyways, one of my intentions every single morning that I write down is that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I feel that on a visceral level. Like, I hope those of you listening, when you hear certain things that I'm saying, or you hear certain things from yourself, you just feel it in your body. You feel it to be true. You don't think about it. You feel it. And that is one of my truths. I am exactly where I need to be. Just like you are exactly where you need to be. Even if you are a lost soul, if you feel like a lost soul right now, you are exactly where you need to be. And things are always happening for our highest good, whether we see it now or in the future. I was just talking about this with one of my friends who's gone through some truly difficult things. And even she said, after I looked at it down the road, like, I can see now that things were always happening for our highest good. And it makes me emotional hearing that from her specifically, but knowing that that's her truth as well. And I know it's true for all of us. Whether we want to accept it or not, things are always working out for our highest good. So I haven't done homework in a while, but this is something I'm assigning for myself, even though homework feels like a should, right? I used to do homework in the beginning of my podcast. I don't really do it anymore. It feels like a should. There never shoulds. Do what feels right for you. Don't do it if it feels right for you. But something that does feel right for me, and again, I try to do it every single morning and every night before I go to bed, but just incorporating it more and more, is connecting to my internal guidance, connecting to my intuition, breathing, going within, and just listening to your own truth. Listening to your own truth. Maybe the things I've said on here haven't totally landed with you, don't totally hit. That's okay. What's right for me and what's right for you can be totally different things, and that is allowed. That is so beautiful. That's what makes this experience so unique. But just do yourself the beautiful favor of going within and hearing your truth. And if you need help, I will link some multitude of resources I have to help you go within yourself and hear your own internal guidance. That is so important to me, along with just being present. And that's a key component to actually hearing your internal guidance, is you have to be in the present moment. It lives in the present moment. But when we're worried about the past or worried about the future, we can't hear that voice. So just gift yourself some time and space and go within and listen to your own truth, especially if you're feeling like a little lost soul like I am. You know, it's okay to be lost. There's nothing wrong with you. You are exactly where you need to be. So I hope this episode that kind of feels like here, there, and everywhere helped you in some way. If it did, feel free to share it with me either on Instagram. You can screenshot it and share it with me there, or you can email me at hello@Lindsay with an A, M as in Michelle Tanner, or you can message me on Instagram, or you can text me if you have your number. I just absolutely love hearing what is resonating with you. If you are new here, please subscribe. I have new episodes every single week. I love bringing you this content, even though I do feel lost sometimes. This is something that has stayed true for the past 3 years. I absolutely love sharing this stuff on here. It is such a beautiful space, and just thank you for allowing me to have this space within your reality as well, because it brings me so much joy. And please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this specific message. But I'm sending you all so much love, all the highest vibes. And it's okay if you don't have the highest vibes. It's okay if you have low vibes. But I'm sending you the high vibes as well. And of course, I will see you in the next episode of Alignment Adventures.